Welcome back, everybody. That Owon extravaganza continues. Oh, can you feel the sizzle? I can. In the spotlight today, the Owon XDM2041 bench multimeter. Oh, it's a BenchMeter. XDM2041, part of the 2000 series of digital multimeters from Owon.
Owon.
XDM2041.
XDM2041 ships with a few more goodies than the SPE 3051 I reviewed the other day. In this case, we're getting a couple of crocodile clips and some pretty decent test leads. CAD2 10 amp rated, 1000 volts. They feel good in the hand, they're big. We're going to be using them for the test. Also get our Owon manual as well as a spec sheet giving us the lowdown on all the goodness. And as you can see, a BenchMeter typically takes up a lot more of that real estate on your desktop or workbench, what have you, than a standard multimeter. Much bigger. So you want to make sure, first of all, before you get out and buy one of these, that you do have the space. Because normally, you're not going to be taking these around. They're not really portable per se, at least not this unit. But be told this is a good-looking BenchMeter. I gotta say, the attention to detail here not just has that beautiful display, but look at the overall form and function here. Just everything is easy on the eye, easy to get to, well laid out, lots of spaces here. You're not going to get stuck between buttons per se. Really nice quality here. These are soft touch buttons as well, not cheap, cheesy plastic. Good-looking front bezel. Another nice feature with BenchMeter is the fact we have those high and low sense terminals. High and low sense terminals are used for the 4-wire resistance measurements. On the back of the BenchMeter, not that much going on. Over here we have our RS-232 serial connection port, and we have as well over here a lock, basically to lock the instrument to a fixed location, like one of those Kensington locks, what have you. AC mains, of course, over here, and finally the chassis ground screw right there. That's it. Side of the Owon, we have some nice ventilation holes here at the bottom of the chassis as well as both sides of the unit. And one thing I really like are those rubber feet inlays here. All corners, all sides of the meter have them, and I gotta say it's really, really good. They really grab that surface nicely. Of course, we have our footstool or tilt adjustment here. You can have it flat if you want, or if you want it at an angle, it goes up like so. Pretty hard not to notice that really nice 3.7-inch high-resolution 40 by 320 LCD display. Absolutely gorgeous. BenchMeters might take up more space, but at the end of the day, they're also more accurate. You're paying more, but you're usually getting more in return. That includes up to 55,000 counts with the Owon 2041, as well as 65 readings per second. True RMS, of course, and dual-line display supported. Trend analysis as well in chart modes, you name it, the list goes on. So a lot of bang for the proverbial buck, the 2041. Taking a look now, DC accuracy. Now that's one of the benefits as well to BenchMeters, the fact that they are usually more accurate. In this case, for 5 volts to 50 volts, you're looking at 0.03% plus or minus 5 digits. 4.9975 coming up for the 2041. Look at that fluke, 5.000, spot on for that reference. But man, that Owon is awfully close. And that Owon OW18E, 4.998 or 9. So there you go, much similar to the 2041. And I'm sorry, but I just couldn't resist, so I thought I'd bring out the gorgeous Unity UT885E as well, and look at that 5.0000, spot on Unity. Yeah, the Owon is on that smaller side in terms of BenchMeter size, length, and width. Not nearly as big as that Unity, and not nearly as heavy either. Here's also a really good example of the rear end of the unit being so sparse compared to some other BenchMeters, including this Unity. Look at the amount of inputs on that Unity meter. Yeah, a lot. Owon test leads, Cat3, 1000 volts, 10 amps. They don't have the Owon branding, but pretty decent test leads all around. Fairly big in the hand. If you like big leads, you'll love these ones. And yeah, pointy as well. All right, let's do some diode testing. Okay, so we're going to switch to diode mode. So here, okay, diode mode, here we go. In diode mode, as you can see, selections here are resistance, continuity, and diode. And I chose diode already. Let's get it hooked up to our tester and see just how good this is. Can we light up all those LEDs? Oh, I sure hope so. Let's start off with that red LED. It is lit, and we have that forward voltage drop as well. Over to the green, yes indeed. The yellow, no problem. Let's go over to the white. And finally the blue, oh yes, 5 for 5 illumination as well as a forward voltage drop. Of course, we have no issues testing a standard diode. Excellente. Output voltage in diode mode, a solid 3.23 volts. If you happen to blow that high current 10 amp fuse, fear not, replacing it on the 2041, really simple. Take a screwdriver, just like so. 10 amp, 250 volt, in this case 5 by 20 millimeter. Put the new fuse back in. Plug and play, no worry, no plug and pray. And you were ready for action. Current action, that is. Looking at frequency right now, this claims a frequency maximum of 60 megahertz. Higher than I can do on this function generator, but let's take it up nonetheless, sitting at 1.358 megahertz right now. I have the amplitude set to 1.2 volts peak to peak. Bringing it up. 2.058 megahertz. Yeah, no worries there. 5.058 megahertz. There we go. A little bit of a delay for it to kick in, but nonetheless, up to 7 megahertz right now. Nine megahertz. Yeah, pretty good right there. Let's just bring it all the way up here. 10 megahertz. And coming in at 9.9996. Take note, the only thing I found in terms of frequency that was a little iffy was the frequency counter needs about a half, around 500 millivolts RMS to give that stable reading. Anything less and it's a no-go, so yeah, just take note of that. Looking at low current amps, got it hooked up to that precision current reference, outputting 100.00 milliamps, and the Owon is showing us 99.98 milliamps. Not bad. And just verifying with the Fluke 87.5, and yes indeed, 100.0 milliamps, spot on. How would you like to win a brand new Multimeter 2024? What a great way to start the year, don't you think? Well, courtesy of Owon, you can just simply leave your name, well, not your name, your call sign, comment below. You know how it works. Subscribe, of course, and hey, you're automatically entered to win. Good luck. Currently sitting in current mode, 100 milliamps right now, coming in as 0.098 on the Owon notch. Now 4 amps, 5 amps, 5.1 amps, and we are maxed out with that Owon power supply. Didn't break out a sweat. And I have the Owon hooked up to another power supply as well, sitting now at 10.098 amps, and no audible alarm or anything like that to let you know that you're kind of in the danger zone, so to speak. Yeah, those wires are definitely getting a little toasty, but it seems to be holding its own thus far. And if you look at that thermal imaging right now, wow, those test leads are toasty. It's been hooked up for about a minute right now, and yeah, it is definitely looking hot. Power supply is kicking in again. And look at that fuse area as well. After about 2 minutes now, those test leads just warm. Power supply fan has kicked in, and all looks good on the Owon, 10.2 amps. So this BenchMeter can definitely take that to high current without breaking a sweat. Not an issue. Alrighty, it's been a while since I did one of these voltage showdowns, but now's a good time. We've got that Unity 8805E up against the Owon 2041, and of course the venerable Fluke 875. Okay, sitting at 4.93 volts according to the power supply, and it looks like we are all pretty well on the same page. Okay, let's take it up. 7.72 volts, 7.72, 7.72, and 7.71-ish for the Owon. It's awfully close. Up and away, 11.03 volts, 11.02 for the Unity, 11.03 for the Fluke, and 11.02 for the Owon. Take it up even more, hitting 16.1 volts, 16.1 for the Fluke, 16.1 for the Unity, and 16.0 for the Owon. Okay, we're gonna max it out now. 31.12 volts, 31.10, 31.10, and 31.0 for the Owon. Whoa, that was awesome. So, suffice to say, I'd say Owon was awfully close. I mean, let's face it, the meters it has been up against are literally 2 to 3 times the price. So all things considered, it is definitely a contender in the precision range. Winner, though, I'd have to say would be the Fluke, followed by the Unity. Man, that was close, though. And the resolution on that Unity, oh, gorgeous. Looking at resistance right now, I've got some probe masters here. Let's put them together and see what we have. 0.01 of an ohm. Let's just try that one more time. .01 of an ohm. So we'll factor that in when we do this equation. 0.5 of an ohm. And darn near perfect. Wow, excellent. It's always a good idea to make sure you're running the latest firmware version, whatever operating system or instrument you're using. In this case, the Owon 2041 version 2.0.0 firmware, and it is the latest version. Hey, that's a booyah! We're running the latest firmware. About to install the software for the 2041. This is called DMM Easy Control. Welcome to the DMM Easy Control Setup Wizard. So I downloaded the software from the Owon website. Link will be in the description. Just follow the prompts. Next, next, and next. And it's about to install the software. Unfortunately, the Easy Connect DMM Control software, well, wasn't so easy to connect after all. I even thought it was the cable, so I went and ordered a new one from Amazon. 24 hours later, and no can do. Sorry, Owon, I tried everything. Looking at temperature, we have both Celsius and Fahrenheit possibilities. You have to use the thermocouple. One did not come with the BenchMeter, so you're gonna have to pick one up if you don't already have one. Identical thermocouple right now attached to the Fluke, and it's pretty close to the Owon, coming in at 20.3 degrees Celsius. Quick look now at capacitance. The Owon has a 50 millifarad capacitance range. Got a 10 millifarad electrolytic here. Let's see how well it does. It's thinking. And there we go, 8.78 millifarad. Hey, that wasn't too shabby at all. Alrighty, here we go. Stock default Owon test leads. Continuity time, 3, 2, 1. Oh, not very good. Slow. Oh, yeah. Slow, low, and just not good. Let's try the Probe Masters. Probe Masters. Oh my God, like night and day. Night and day, these Probe Masters. Oh, man. Unbelievable. Holy mackerel, Batman. 90.4 decibels. That is loud. 2041 includes a data record function. This includes a manual record as well as the auto. You can use any or both functions to record your data. By the way, those readings recorded in manual record or auto record will be saved into the same data table within that internal memory. The maximum number of readings is, I believe, 1,000. Once you finish collecting the data, you can view it in a data table directly on the multimeter itself, or you can export it to the computer via the RS-232 port if you can get the software going. You can see we have set it up now, so you've got your parameters configured. You can specify the intervals, so the intervals for those data readings. The range is from 50 millisecond to 9999.999 of a second. What kind of a second is that anyway? And to record the data, you simply press the start key, like so. You see that little icon up here, and that just tells you that, hey, you're now in recording mode. No doubt about it, having data logging on your meter is a definite cool feature. Hopefully, if you can get the software working, it makes it even better because you want to export that data for offline analysis. All right, let's get into the teardown. On the inside now of the 2041, wow, look at all of that empty space. We have basically 4 PCBs that make up the interior of the bench multimeter. But once again, we do have a lot of space. It's not always a bad thing, mind you. It gets a lot of that airflow. And you don't have to worry about components heating up one another. So definitely not always a bad thing. This is where the mains comes in over here. Nice grounding as well, and really nicely done with the crimping and the heat shrink tubing, so good job. Main power switch over here, the switching power supply rather, and this can go from 90 to 240 volts on the fly. So that's what's very interesting. We have not one, not two, but 3 relays here on this PCB. The main one here being that big Panasonic honkin' relay, and we have 2 smaller made in Japan relays as well. Now, if you have to change that fuse, it's the only sort of downside because you're gonna have to open up the cover of the case to get into the milliamp low current fuse. This is a 212 AH 250 volt 2 amp fuse, and it goes right there. Now they've also utilized that smaller fuse connectors. They could have actually gone with a bigger, more beefier, robust fuse, but they went with the smaller. And this is the grounding for the front of the panel right there. Nice shrink rack tubing. Excellente. Here we have a big, huge glass passivated bridge rectifier right beside that current shunt. Perhaps a little too close, but that's okay. It is still got enough distance, not going to get hot. And here we have one PTC right beside one of those relays. And beside that, we have another relay, actually. This is a solid-state relay, the Toward AA40F. And the main brains for the multimeter over here, the multimeter IC, this is a HYC 3131. It's a 50,000 count front-end DMM from HiContech. And finally over here, of course, we have that UM141E. That is a optocoupler alternative. So nice tech going on. Small PCB, but really, it's doing the job. It's all we need in this case. That's a ribbon cable attached to that optocoupler via the RS-232 serial port. By the way, it doesn't ship with that cable. You'll have to pick one up on the side if you don't already have one. I really like the way that Owon has paid attention to the small things like the heat shrouding, the way they've got that nice big gauge wire. This is the mains input once again, and yeah, it just looks really nice. Don't forget, there's also a fuse behind that plug, so if it blows, we can fix that without taking off the back. Test inputs from the front of the unit. Look at that nice crimping and shrouding once again. Good size gauge wire, and yeah, little attention to detail like that really stands out. All in all, nice looking unit. A good metal sturdy chassis, and everything in place and well connected. Okay, gonna put it all back together. Come back with my closing thoughts. Closing thoughts on the Owon XDM2041 55,000 counts digital bench multimeter. Yes, I can recommend this is a good buy. Not the most feature-packed, it doesn't have the greatest specs in the world. Boy, does it ever have a gorgeous LCD display. I'm telling you, I just cannot get tired looking at that display. No matter what angle it is, it just keeps looking good. Size-wise, it's not a massive bench meter as well, so it won't take up too much precious space on your bench. Put it up against the big boy, some of the best names in the biz, and it held its own quite admirably. This thing is really accurate in DC volt mode. And great build quality, as always. Owon shines in this department. Really nicely done inside. This thing is going to last long term. Some issues. One of the major ones is that serial 232 interface communication. Why? Why in 2024 can't we do a little bit better than just an RS-232 port to communicate with your PC? Doesn't make any sense. And to make matters worse, they don't give you the cables and the functional software. Well, it's dysfunctional at the moment. It is really buggy, and I still cannot get it to work. Also, considering the price point, it's not super expensive, but it's not super cheap either, and they really should have thrown in a USB port. At the end of the day, this is a pretty good deal. I won't say it's a bargain, but it's good value for the proverbial dollar, and you can't go wrong with that. The Owon XDM2041 gets a solid 3.5 out of 5 stars. If you're looking for your first bench meter, hey, don't let the 2041 pass on by. Thanks for watching this review, everybody. Till the next one, keep on testing.